Vater,
Lord, we thank you for another blessed day.
wir danken dir für einen weiteren gesegneten Tag.
Thank you for all your wonderful care over us.
Wir danken dir für deine wunderbare Fürsorge über uns.
And we praise you, Lord, for the wonderful things that you reveal out of your word.
Und wir preisen dich, Herr, für die wunderbaren Sachen, die du uns aus deinem Wort offenbarst.
Please help our brother Lorenz now as he leads out.
Bitte segne unsere Brüder Lorenz, als er jetzt die Klasse anleitet.
And please help us to have open minds to receive the truth.
Und bitte hilft uns, dass wir unseren Verstand offen halten, die Wahrheit zu empfangen.
And may you guide and lead us now according to your will.
Und mögest du uns führen jetzt gemäß deiner Wille.
And we ask this in the name of Jesus.
Und wir bitten diesen Jesu Namen.
Amen.
Amen.
Right, so this evening we want to look at the book of Esther.
So, heute Abend, wir wollen das Buch Esther anschauen.
And we can turn to Esther chapter 3.
Und wir gehen in unserer Bibel zu Esther Kapitel 3.
And we want to just look at, the outline of the story a little bit.
Und wir wollen nur das Darlegung dieses Geschichte etwas anschauen.
And then we also will try to place it correctly on our line.
Und dann werden wir versuchen, es auf richtige Weise auf unsere Linie auszulegen.
Okay, let's read the first 7 verses.
Also Kapitel 3 und wir lesen die ersten 3 Verse.
7,
Die ersten 7 Verse, thank you, sorry.
but we can read 3 verses per person.
Aber wir werden jeweils 3 Verse pro Person lesen.
You want to start? Yes.
After these things, the king Ahasuerus promoted him, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, and advanced him and set his seat above all the princes that were with him. Now the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed and reverenced Haman, for the king had so commanded concerning him. But Mordecai bowed not, nor did have reverence. Then the king's servants which were in the king's gate said unto Mordecai, Why transgressest thou the king's commandment?
Now it came to pass, when they spake daily unto him, and he hearkened not unto them, that they told Haman to see whether Mordecai's matters would stand. For he had told them that he was a Jew. And when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence, and then was Haman full of wrath. And he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai alone. But they had shown him the people of Mordecai, wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews that were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus, even the people of Mordecai.
The first month, that is the month of Nisan, the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, they cast fur, that is the lot, before Haman from day to day, and from month to month, to the 12th month, that is the month Adar.
Alright, so I think we all are fairly familiar with the story.
Also bis Vers 7 und ich glaube, wir sind alle relativ vertraut mit dieser Geschichte.
So Haman, right, gets promoted here.
Also Haman
The son-in-law.
Haman wird hier am Sonntagsgesetz befördert. Also hier am Sonntagsgesetz befördert.
Und hier. So he gets promoted at the son-in-law.
Haman wird am Sonntagsgesetz befördert.
And then Mordecai refuses to bow down.
Und Mordecai weigert sich, den Haman niederzubeugen.
And he gets delivered up down here, right?
Und wird hier ausgeliefert.
Okay. And what does then Haman to do? What does he want to do?
Und was möchte Haman denn tun?
He wants to kill all the Jews.
Yes.
Er möchte alle Juden umbringen.
And according to verse 7, what is he doing here?
Und gemäß Vers 7, was tut er?
He's casting lots, which is
Yes.
the Day of Atonement.
Er wirft den Los und das ist gleich der Versöhnungstag.
So he's casting lots here.
Er wirft den Los hier.
Because at the Day of Atonement, lots were cast for the scapegoat. Right?
Denn am Versöhnungstag, das Los würde geworfen, um zu entscheiden für den Sündenbock.
Okay, and why is he casting lots here?
Und warum wirft er hier Lose?
In order to do what?
Um was zu bewirken? To establish the day in which he wants to kill Mordecai,
Yes.
the Jews. Also
Exactly.
um den Tag zu etablieren, worauf er den Mordecai und damit die gesamten Juden umbringen möchte.
Yes. Okay. And it says here he begins in the first month, right?
Und fängt an im ersten Monat, sagt es hier,
And he goes down to the 12th month.
und geht bis zur 12. Monat.
So how you must imagine this is he throws the dice and says, okay, shall I do it in the first month? And he throws it, okay, and the die or the lot says no, okay.
Also wie man sich das vorstellen musste, ist, dass im ersten Monat der Haman, der wirft das los, um zu sehen, ob er den Mordecai hier in diesem ersten Monat umbringen sollte. Und natürlich der Los sagt nein.
And then he does it for the next month, and the lot again says no.
Und dann tut er es für den zweiten Monat und das Los sagt wieder nein.
And it says here he did it down to the 12th month.
Und es sagt uns hier, dass er das so weitermachte bis zur 12. Monat.
So in the 12th month, then it was apparently yes, okay.
Und dann, als er das loswarf im 12. Monat, da sagte es angeblich ja.
Okay, because when we continue now reading,
Und wenn wir so weiterlesen werden,
let's read verses 8 down to verse 12.
also die Verse 8 bis 12 jetzt.
Daniel, you want to read the first 3 verses?
Haman said unto Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom, and the laws are diverse from all people, neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore it is not for the king's profit to suffer them. If it please the king, let it be written, that they may be destroyed. I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those that have the charge of the business to bring to the king's treasury. And the king took the ring from his hand and gave it unto Haman, the son of Hammedatha, to Agagite the Jew's enemy. The king said unto Haman, silver is given to thee, but thee also, to do with them as it seemeth good to thee. Then were the king's scribes called on the 13th day of the first month, and there was written according to all that Haman had commanded unto the king's
Lieutenant.
lieutenants and to the governors that there were over every province, and to the rulers of every people of every province according to the writing thereof, and to every people after the language in the name of King Ahasuerus was it written and sealed with the king's ring.
Okay, so in verse 12, what was the day in the month when they made the death decree?
So in Vers 12, was war der Tag und der Monat, in dem dass sie das Todesdekret erließ?
Does it say?
13th day of the first month.
Yes, 13th day of the first month.
13. Tag des ersten Monats.
So I will put this down.
Ich werde das hier markieren.
13th day, first month, right?
13. Tag vom ersten Monat.
So that's the death decree.
Und das ist das Todesdekret.
Decree. All right. Now let's continue and let's read verse 13 down to verse 15.
Und jetzt lesen wir die Verse 13 bis 15.
Is this the same?
And the letters were sent by posts into all the king's provinces, to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Jews, both young and old, little children and women, in one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar, and to take the spoil of them for a prey. A copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people, that they should be ready against that day. The posts went out being hastened by the king's commandment, and the decree was given in Shushan the palace. And the king of Haman sat down to drink, but the city Shushan was perplexed.
Okay. So what was the city on this day?
Also an diesem Tag, was war der Stadt?
Perplexed.
Perplexed, right?
Also erstaunt.
So perplexed. And what do we understand? On our line, where's that decree issued or
Auf unserer Linie, wo verstehen wir das?
brought against God's people? Yes.
Wo wird das
At the midnight
Todesdekret
cry.
gegen Gottes Volk gebracht? Am Mitternacht.
And this is also according to the vision of the narrow way.
The time of perplexity.
Yes, it's a chasm, right? The time of perplexity and distress.
Das ist auch gemäß der Vision von dem schmalen Weg. Es ist eine Zeit von Drangsal und Not.
So therefore, I put the 13th day of the first month right here. Okay.
Also diese Erstaunen hier, dieses Wort perplex, das ist auch dieselbe wie Drangsal und Not. Und ich markiere dann hier der 13. Tag des ersten Monats hier Mitternacht.
Okay. Everybody can see this.
Jeder kann das sehen.
So, and it says at this day, then the decree was sent through all the provinces, right?
Und es sagt, an diesem Tag würde das Dekret in den ganzen Provinzen des Landes gesandt.
And Shushan was perplexed. And who was in Shushan?
Und Shushan war erstaunt. Und wer befand sich in Shushan? Mordecai.
Mordecai,
Also
right?
der Mordecai.
So Mordecai picks this up first. He's the bride giving this cry, right?
Also Mordecai erhebt das oder nimmt das auf zuerst. Er ist die Braut, der diesen Schrei gibt oder diesen Ruf gibt.
So let's read now the next verses in chapter 4.
Und lasst uns jetzt im Kapitel 4 die nächsten Verse lesen.
So let's read verses 1 down to verse 4.
Also die Verse 1 bis 4.
Read this first, please.
Yes. When Mordecai perceived all that was done, Mordecai rent his clothes and put on sackcloth with ashes, and went out into the midst of the city, and cried with a loud and bitter cry, and came even before the king's gate, for none might enter into the king's gate clothed with sackcloth. And in every province, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, there was great mourning among the Jews, with fasting and weeping and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes. So Esther's maids and her chamberlains came and told it her. Then was the queen exceedingly grieved, and she sent raiment to clothe Mordecai, and to take away his sackcloth from him, but he received it not.
Yes. Okay, so Mordecai is now clothed in the sackcloth, right? And we understand that's this experience here.
Also Mordecai ist jetzt in den Sacktuch und Asche bekleidet. Und wir verstehen, dass das stellt diese Erfahrung hier dar.
And he gives the loud and bitter cry,
Und
right?
er gibt den lautes und bitteren Ruf.
They are all now fasting and praying and weeping.
Die fasten und beten, heulen und wehklagen.
Okay, so, and what is Esther doing?
Und was tut Esther? Das ist der heidische.
She tries to give him these victorious garments, right?
Also Esther versucht den Mordecai bereits diese siegreiche Gewänder zu geben.
So she doesn't really understand what's going on here right at the very beginning,
Also
right?
sie versteht nicht unbedingt, was hier am Anfang stattfindet.
Okay, so let's now jump down and let's go to verse 8 down to verse 11.
So, jetzt lesen wir die Verse 8 bis 11. Also he gave him the copy of the writing of the decree that was given at Shushan to destroy them, to show it unto Esther, and to declare it unto her, and to charge her that she should go in unto the king and make supplication unto him, and to make request before him for her people. And Hathach came and told Esther the words of Mordecai. Again Esther spake unto Hathach, and gave him commandment unto Mordecai. All the king's servants and the people of the king's provinces do know that whosoever, whether man or woman, shall come in unto the king into the inner court who is not called, there is one law of his to put him to death, except such to whom the king shall hold out the golden scepter, that he may live. But I have not been called to come in unto the king these 30 days.
Alright, so basically Mordecai tells her, you must go before the king.
Also Mordecai sagt, du musst vor den König treten.
And he tells her right here at this very day, right?
Sagt sie gerade hier an diesem Tag.
So what does Esther say?
Aber was sagt Esther? I've not been called these 30 days.
Yeah, I've not been called these 30 days.
Also
Okay.
diese 30 Tage lang bin ich da nicht gerufen.
So for 30 days,
Also 30 Tage lang,
she hasn't been called.
sie war nicht gerufen.
So where does it bring you to
So wo bringt das uns
when
hin,
you count it backward?
wenn wir es zurückzählen?
12. Yes.
13. Tag des 12. Monats.
Okay. 13th day, 12th month in the year before, right?
Also 13. Tag des 12. Monats in der Jahr zuvor.
I mean,
Okay. let's turn.
It depends though, I mean, it depends on your count, but it depends what whether the first month had,
29 or
Yeah.
because you go back 13 definitely, but it depends whether the 12th month at 29 or 30. That would determine which day it would land on.
Yes,
Also
but
Bruder Marga bringt der Punkt, dass je nachdem, ob der 12.
That's right.
Monat von diesem Jahr entweder 29 oder 30 Tage hätte, dann wäre das dem bestimmt, ob es nun mal auf den 13. Tag oder 14.
okay, let's turn the page back. Let's go to chapter 3 again, to verse 13.
So zurück zur Kapitel 3 und Vers 13.
Okay, and I will just read verse 13. It says, and the letters, that's now this death decree,
Also diese Todesdekret.
and the letters were sent by posts into all the king's provinces to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Jews, both young and old, little children and women, in one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month.
Yes.
So, when is the death decree to go into effect?
So wann soll das Todesdekret eintreten?
13th, 12th month.
Yes.
Am 13. Tag des 12. Monats.
So, therefore, from here down to here, how long is it?
Und dann von hier bis
Mhm.
da zum Ende, wie lange
Exactly
ist das?
1 year,
Das ist
right?
genau ein Jahr.
And God is the Alpha and the.
Und Gott ist der Alpha
Omega.
Ah,
und
okay, I'm
Omega.
going to protest you, right? I get your point. It's one, but it'd be 1 year, even if it would be 1 year, even if it was on the 14th.
Also es wäre dennoch ein Jahr, wenn es am 14. Tag wäre.
Not up. It depends whether you're talking prophetic years or literal years.
Es
Right?
kommt darauf an, ob man prophetisches Jahr hier anwendet oder buchstäbliches Jahr.
Because he's casting lot from month to month.
Denn
Right?
er wirft das los von Monat zu Monat.
But the point that I'm making is you need to, if the 12th month is 29 days, you can't make that the 13th. That's all I'm saying. You
Der
can't do
12.
it.
Monat 29 Tage ist, dann können wir das nicht der 13.
So,
But,
if-
but I'm pretty certain, you know, that this pattern is clearly there. So
okay, no, you have to check this
this can't,
first.
can't be the 14th.
Okay,
It's
okay.
not possible.
Also ich bin mir sicher, dass dieses Muster da ist. Also deswegen kann der 14. es nicht sein.
Prophetically, God is the Alpha and Omega, and I would probably agree with you, but I'm just saying you need to check. You can't be presumptuous.
Also
that-
prophetisch stimme ich zu, Gott ist der Alpha und Omega und ich tendiere dir zuzustimmen, aber wir sollten nicht raten, wir sollten das nachprüfen.
For me, it's enough evidence, but you may be wrong. Okay.
Also für mich ist das genug Beweis, aber du magst vielleicht recht haben.
Alright, so but let's continue.
Also lasst uns weiter.
Because so Esther is now in a sense doubting, you know.
Also Esther in gewissem Sinne zweifelt,
But then Mordecai tells her, you have been called for such a time as this.
aber dann Mordecai erklärt ihr, dass du wohl für solch eine Zeit wie dieses berufen worden bist.
And he tells her this on this very day here.
Und
right?
er sagt sie das gerade an diesem Tag.
So let's read now verse 15 down to 16.
Und jetzt lesen wir die Verse 15 und 16.
And Mark, so read this for us, please.
Then Esther bade them return Mordecai this answer. Go, gather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan, and fast here for me, and neither eat nor drink 3 days, night or day. I also and my maidens will fast likewise. And so I go unto the king, which is not according to the law, and if I perish, I perish.
Okay, so what does Esther say?
So was sagt Esther hier?
When is she to go to the king?
Wann soll sie zum König gehen?
On the Philip?
Auf den
On the third day. Yes.
am dritten
Okay.
Tag.
So therefore, the Jews always, when the day was already beginning, they counted this already as one day.
Also wenn der Tag schon bereits angebrochen ist, zählten die Juden diesen angebrochenen Tag als einen Tag.
So that was the first day.
So, das wäre denn in diesem Sinne der erste Tag.
That would be the second.
Hier der zweite
That would be the third.
und hier zuletzt der dritte.
So therefore, this would be the 14th day
Das wäre dann der 14. Tag des ersten
of
Monats
the first month, and this would be the 15th day of the first month.
Und der dritte Tag wäre dann der 15. Tag des ersten Monats.
And here, where is she now here?
Wo ist sie hier? Okay.
Yeah, she stands before the king.
Hier steht sie vor der König.
So, stands before king. Okay, and what day is the 15th day of the first month?
Und welcher Tag ist der 15. Tag des ersten Monats?
Yes.
The first.
Okay, unleavened bread. Okay.
Das ist ungesäuerten Brot.
So this would be here, right, Passover.
Das wäre dann hier den Passover.
This is unleavened bread.
Das wäre den ungesäuerten Brot.
I just put UB, okay.
Oder den ersten Tag des ungesäuerten Brotes.
And now she stands before the king.
Und jetzt steht sie vor der König hier.
And on our line, where would this be?
Und auf unserer Linie, wo wird das sein? Im Mittel
Mhm.
des Text.
No.
No.
Where do you stand before the king?
Wo stehst du vor der König?
After 3 days.
At the end of the method of
Yes.
the review.
Right? So here's where you stand before the king, right?
An der 9. Stunde.
Okay, and I know why you might be a little bit shaken.
Und ich weiß, warum du etwas...
Because usually we say it's on the 16th, right?
Weil normalerweise sagen wir, dass es auf der 16. Tag.
Okay, but let's just continue and we try to solve this, okay?
Aber wir werden fortfahren und versuchen, diese anscheinend Dilemma zu lösen.
Okay, let's go to Esther chapter 5
Jetzt in Kapitel 5
and let's read verse 1.
und lesen wir Vers 1.
David, read this.
Now it came to pass on the third day that Esther put on her royal apparel and stood in the inner court of the king's house, over against the king's house, and the king sat upon his royal throne in the royal house, over against the gate of the house.
Okay, so it's on the third day, right, that she's now before the king.
So ist es am dritten Tag, dass sie vor der König steht.
And we know Ahasuerus holds out the scepter.
Und wir wissen in der Geschichte, dass Ahasuerus ihr den Zepter reichte.
Okay, and what happened then?
Und was geschah danach?
Let's read verse 3 down to verse 8.
Und wir lesen jetzt die Verse 3 bis 8.
And 3 verses per person, please.
3 Versen.
Chapter 5.
Yes.
Then said the king unto her, What wilt thou, Queen Esther? And what is thy request? It shall be given thee to the house of the king. And Esther answered, If it seem good unto the king, let the king and Haman come this day unto the banquet that I have prepared for him. Then the king said, Cause Haman to make haste, that he may do as I have said. So the king and Haman came to the banquet that Esther had prepared.
The king said unto Esther at the banquet of wine, What is thy petition, and it shall be granted thee, and what is thy request, even to the half of the kingdom of it shall be performed. Then answered Esther and said, My petition and my request is,
Can you just also read verse 8, please?
if I have found favor in thy sight of the king, and if it please the king to grant my petition and to perform my request, let the king and Haman come to the banquet that I shall prepare for them, and I will do tomorrow as the king has said.
Okay, so what do we see here? On the third day, what do they have?
Am dritten Tag, was haben sie? Banquet.
Yes, a banquet, right?
Also ein Fest.
So, banquet.
And 1 Adar has 29 days.
Yes. No.
I looked it up.
Also der Monat Adar hat 29 Tage.
13 days.
You have to take 13 off of,
Yes.
because you're dealing with prophetic months, right? So you're going 30 days in a prophetic month, right?
Yes.
So, okay, wait a minute. The point is, right, these are not prophetic months you're dealing with, this is literal time you're
Yes.
dealing with, right?
Das ist nicht prophetische Zeit hier, das ist buchstäbliche Zeit, die wir hier
So you have to,
berechnen.
so she says, so, and she even says 30 days. She's not saying, and it says, so you've got to count back literally 30 days. So you've got to go 13, then go back.
Okay, just do you talking?
Okay, so you've got to go back 13 and then 17. Right? And if you go back 17 days, it'll take you to the 14th.
Also man muss 13 Tage von hier zurückgehen zum Anfang des Monats und dann 17 zurück und es bringt zum 14.
If it was then the 12th, not the 14th. Because 13 days minus 30 would be 17 days, right? 17 minus 29 is 12. So, but if you include the 13th day as the first day,
No, okay,
then
wait a minute, I'm just making sure, I'm not arguing here, I'm just making, so 29, take away 17, right?
yes.
So it leaves 12, so it would be, the last day would be the 17th day, which would be, okay, that's fine. So I'm just, I want to make sure that it's correct, we're not splitting it, then okay.
Also das ist schon richtig.
So it doesn't matter that it's not, that I'm saying, now we can be sure that it's right what it said.
Alright, okay. So we have a banquet here.
Also
Okay.
wir haben hier ein Fest.
And what is now Esther telling the king? What is she about to do?
Und was erzählt Esther dem König, was sie tun will?
He says, whatever you want to request, even to the half of my kingdom, I give it to you.
Was auch immer du möchtest, bis auf die Hälfte meines Königreichs gebe ich ihm.
And in verse 8, what is she saying?
Wer sagt, was sagt sie? Come tomorrow.
Yes. Tomorrow I want to make another feast.
Also
Okay.
morgen möchte ich ein weiteres Fest machen.
So tomorrow would be then the 16th day
Und morgen wäre denn der 16. Tag des
of the
ersten
first
Monats,
month, right? Which is another banquet.
was ein weiteres Festgelage wäre.
Okay, and it's first fruits.
Und das ist die Fest von Erstlingsgaben.
First fruits. Right, everybody follows?
Kann jeder folgen?
Okay, so and who was with the king here at the banquet?
Und wer war hier mit dem König an diesem Festgelage?
According to verse 5.
Gemäß Vers 5.
Haman, right?
Haman.
So Haman is here,
Haman ist hier.
and is he also to be here?
Und soll er auch hier antreten? Yes.
Yes. Also in verse 8 it says also he is.
So, Vers 8, das erklärt uns das.
Okay, so now let's continue in verse 9.
So, lasst uns weiter in Vers 9.
Verse 9 down to verse 14.
Vers 9 bis 14.
Because this is now, here still this third day, okay?
Und das hier ist immer noch dieser dritte Tag.
Because Esther says tomorrow you should come back, and now on this same day Haman now goes home and he now tells all his friends and family the wonderful banquet he had.
So,
Okay?
Esther sagt an diesem Tag, morgen kommen wir zum neuen Fest, aber hier geht Haman nach Hause und erklärt all seine Freunde und Familie, was für ein Fest die haben.
Okay, let's just read verse 9 down to verse 14, please.
Verse 9 bis 14.
And please 3 verses and then the rest can Brother Mark can read.
Also Kapitel 5, 9 bis 13.
Yes.
9 bis 11 kannst du und dann Mark den Rest.
Then went Haman forth that day joyful and with a glad heart. But when Haman saw Mordecai in the king's gate, that he stood not up, nor moved for him, he was full of indignation against Mordecai. Nevertheless, Haman refrained himself, and when he came home, he sent and called for his friends and Zeresh his wife. And Haman told them of the glory of his riches and the multitude of his children, and all the things wherein the king had promoted him, and how he had advanced him above the princes and servants of the king.
Haman said, moreover, yea, Esther the queen, did let no man come in with the king unto the banquet that she had prepared but myself, and tomorrow am I invited unto her also with the king. Yet all this availeth me nothing, so long as I see Mordecai the Jew sitting at the king's gate. Then said Zeresh his wife, and all his friends unto him, let a gallows be made of 50 cubits high, and tomorrow speak thou unto the king, that Mordecai may be hanged thereon. Then go thou in merrily with the king unto the banquet, and the thing pleased Haman, and he caused the gallows to be made.
Alright, so what do they now raise up here?
So, was errichten sie hier auf?
Well, it's the wife tells him to raise up a gallows 50 cubits high.
Yes, okay.
Seine Frau und seine Freunde beraten ihm, ein Galgengerüst aufzubauen, 50 Ellen hoch.
Okay, so 50 cubits high.
Also 50 Ellen hohe
Okay,
Galgengerüst.
and let's now,
Why did you put it there?
I mean, they erect it here, right? But we see now he gets hanged here.
Also sie richten es hier auf, aber wir werden gleich sehen, dass hier darauf gehängt
Yeah,
wird.
but I don't know why you would mark it there specifically, like it's got a place on the line.
Because I would say, in a sense, because he is standing before the king, marks the 9th hour, but this day also marks the 9th hour, right?
Also, weil der 15. Tag, wo sie vor der König steht, das markiert der 9. Stunde, aber dieser Tag markiert auch der 9. Stunde.
And you can share your thoughts a little bit later. Maybe we can just read now chapter 7 and then
Chapter 6, 7.
we skip chapter 6 because this is just this triumphal entry. And we can jump now to chapter 7 because chapter 7 speaks now about the second day of the banquet.
Also Kapitel 7 wollen wir jetzt lesen, denn da spricht es über diesen zweiten Tag, wo diese Festgelage ist.
Is it not a reason why the trample entry is in there also?
Of course.
Okay, but I just thought
No,
you
just
should
wanna-
mention that
yes.
also.
I just want to.
Kapitel 6 ist der triumphale Einzug und da gibt es einen Grund, weshalb es da ist, aber wir wollen jetzt auf diese Festgelage konzentrieren.
Okay. So let's read verse 1 down to verse 3. Or down to verse 4.
Die Verse 1 bis 4. So the king and Haman came to banquet with Esther the queen. And the king said again unto Esther on the second day of the banquet of wine, What is thy petition, Queen Esther? And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? And it shall be performed, even to the half of the kingdom.
Okay, so here we see it's the second day of the banquet,
So
right?
hier können wir sehen, dass es das zweite Tag des Festes ist.
Okay, so continue please.
Then Esther the queen answered and said, If I have found favour in thy sight, O king, and if it please the king, let my life be given me at my petition, and my people at my request. You know? For we are sold, and I and my people to be destroyed, to be slain, and to perish. But if we had been sold for bondmen and bondwomen, I had held my tongue, although the enemy could not countervail the king's damage.
Okay, so basically now Esther intercedes now for the people, right?
So Esther tut Fürbitte für ihrem Volk.
And what happened then?
Und was geschah denn?
Okay, let's just read the next verse.
Lass uns die nächsten Verse lesen.
Verse 5. Then the king Ahasuerus answered and said unto Esther the queen, Who is he and where is he that durst presume in his heart to do so? And Esther said, The adversary and enemy is this wicked Haman. Then Haman was afraid before the king and the queen. And the king, arising from the banquet of wine in his wrath, went into the palace garden. And Haman stood up to make request for his life to Esther the queen, for he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king. Then the king returned out of the palace garden into the place of the banquet of wine, and Haman was fallen upon the bed wherein Esther was. Then said the king, Will he force the queen also before me in the house? As the words went out of the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face. And then verse 9 and 10.
Verse 9 und 10.
And Habonah, one of the chamberlains, said before the king, Behold also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai, who had spoken good for the king, standeth in the house of Haman. Then the king said, Hang him thereon. And they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified. Okay, so what happens now with Haman?
So was geschieht hier denn mit Haman?
Yes, Haman gets hanged, right?
Also Haman wird gehängt.
And on this 50 gallows, 50 cubits high gallows,
Auf
right?
diesen Galgen, die 50 Ellen hoch gebaut worden ist.
And for whom was these gallows prepared?
Und für wen war diesen Galgengerüst vorbereitet?
Mordecai.
Für Mordecai.
Let's just quickly read in chapter 9, verse 25.
Lasst uns schnell in Kapitel 9, Vers 25 lesen.
It says, "But when Esther came before the king, he commanded by letters that this wicked device, which he devised against the Jews, should return upon his own head, and that he and his sons should be hanged on the gallows." So, when he was hanged, what does it represent?
Also, wo Haman gehängt worden ist, was stellt es dar?
No, what did the verse say?
Was sagt den Vers? Also, comes upon his own head.
Yes, it comes upon his own head. So,
Also, es kommt zurück auf
what
seinen
is he
eigenen.
then?
So, was ist der?
Scapegoat.
Yes, he's the scapegoat.
Er ist der
Okay.
Sündenbock.
So, and we understand, right? It's at the 9th hour also where this comes upon their own head.
Und es ist, wir verstehen, dass es am 9. Stunde ist, wo es auf ihrem eigenen Köpfe zurückkommt.
So, therefore, I would suggest that this is also illustrating the 9th day.
So, ich würde dann vorschlagen,
9th hour.
dass das hier, also der 16. Tag, auch der 9. Stunde darstellt.
Because it's also first fruits.
Denn
Okay?
es ist auch Erstlingsfrüchte.
And we have to bring them both together and put them here.
Dann müssen wir sie beide zusammenbringen und hier bringen.
And the triumphal entry.
And the triumphant entry.
Und der triumphalen Einzug.
Okay. So, in a sense, this is the 9th hour.
Das hier ist der 9. Stunde
This is the 9th hour.
und das ist auch der 9. Stunde.
And now I want to show you that this is also the 9th hour.
Und jetzt möchte ich aber zeigen, dass das, diese Wegmarke hier ist, auch der 9. Stunde.
Okay, let's go now to chapter 8.
Und lasst uns jetzt zu Kapitel 8 gehen.
Because in chapter 8, verse 1 and 2,
Denn in Kapitel 8, Verse 1 und 2,
and we just read that Haman got hanged here on the 16th day of the first month.
und wir haben gerade gelesen, dass Haman am 16. Tag des ersten Monats erhängt worden ist.
It says on that day, on which day?
Und es sagt, auf diesen Tag, welchen Tag? 16.
16th day of the first
16.
month.
Tag.
On that day did the king Ahasuerus give the house of Haman, the Jews' enemy, unto Esther the queen. And Mordecai came before the king, for Esther had told what he was unto her. And the king took off his ring, which he had taken from Haman, and gave it unto Mordecai. And Esther set Mordecai over the house of Haman. So, what happens now to Mordecai?
So, was geschieht jetzt mit Mordecai?
He gets everything given to him.
Yes, right.
Und ihm wird alles gegeben.
He's now lifted up,
Er wird erhöht
and he now gets the ring.
und er erhält diesen Ring.
Who else gets a ring?
Joseph.
Er
Yes,
noch
Joseph,
erhält einen Ring, Josef, vor
When he
Pharao,
is also set over all of Egypt.
wo er über das ganze Ägypten erhöht worden
So, and
ist.
he's now set over the whole house of Haman.
Und Mordecai wird hier über das Haus Hamans erstellt.
Okay, so Mordecai exalted, right?
So, Mordecai wird hier befördert, erhoben.
Okay, so, but now it's a little bit tricky.
Aber
Okay.
jetzt ist das ein bisschen schwierig.
Because verse 1 and 2, they speak about this day, the 16th day of the first month.
Denn
right?
Vers 1 und 2 sprechen klar hier über den 16. Tag, des 16. Tag des ersten Monats.
And we understand this was the second day of the banquet.
Und wir verstehen, dass das die zweite Tag des Festgelages war.
Okay, and I would want to suggest now that verse 3 jumps now to a different date.
Und ich möchte vorschlagen, dass Vers 3 jetzt springt zu einem anderen Tag oder einem anderen Datum.
Because here at the banquet, Esther already spoke to the king. Right?
Denn hier an der Festgelage, Esther hat bereits zur König
Oh,
gesprochen.
she says, it says there, Esther speak yet, again.
Yes,
Und es
and-
steht hier in Vers 3, und Esther sprach ein weiteres Mal.
okay. Verse 3 says, And Esther spake yet again before the king, and fell down at his feet, and besought him with tears to put away the mischief of Haman the Agagite, and his device that he had devised against the Jews. And verse 4, Then the king held out the golden scepter toward Esther, So Esther arose and stood before the king. So where's she now?
So wo steht sie jetzt?
Stands before the king again, the scepter is again holding out to her.
Sie steht vor der König ein weiteres Mal, das Zepter wird ein weiteres Mal ausgestreckt.
Just like here on the 15th day.
Gerade wie hier am 15. Tag.
So, and then it says, so I just mark it down, okay, it stands before the king.
Ich markiere das hier, sie steht vor dem König.
And it continues.
Und es geht weiter.
And said, if it pleased the king, and if I have found favor in his sight, and the things seem right before the king, and I be pleasing in his eyes, let it be written to reverse the letters devised by Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, which he wrote to destroy the Jews which are in all the king's provinces. So what is she now requesting?
So, was bittet sie jetzt? Also den Todesdekret umgekehrt.
A counter decree, right?
Also sie bittet ein Gegendekret.
So here you have the counter decree.
So, hier haben wir diesen Gegendekret.
Okay, let's continue.
Weiterlesen.
Verse 6.
Vers 6.
For how can I endure to see the evil that shall come upon my people? Or how can I endure to see the destruction of my kindred? Then the king Ahasuerus said unto Esther the queen, and to Mordecai the Jew, Behold, I have given Esther the house of Haman, and him that they have hanged upon the gallows, because he laid his hand upon the Jews. Write ye also for the Jews, as it liketh you, in the king's name, and seal it with the king's ring. For the writing which is written in the king's name, and sealed with the king's ring, may no man reverse. Then were the king's scribes called at that time, in the 3rd month, that is the month Sivan, on the 23rd day thereof. Okay, so when are the scribes now called in to write this counter decree?
So, wann werden diesen Schriftern, Scribes? Schriftgelehrten reingebracht, diesen Gegendekret zu erstellen?
Yes.
Der 23. Tag des 3. Monats.
And it says at that time, yeah, so at that time when she was pleading before the king.
Und es sagt zu dieser Zeit, also zu dieser Zeit, wo sie vor dem König fürbitet hat.
So this is therefore the 23rd day.
So denn das hier ist der 23. Tag des 3. Monats.
Of the 3rd month, right? Okay. So how many
70.
days?
So wie viele Tage?
Yes, okay. So
70 Tage.
but 70 prophetic days.
Aber
Right?
70 prophetische Tage.
Okay. Because from the 13th day of the 1st month down to the 23rd day of the 3rd month is 70 days when you use the prophetic calendar.
Sind der 13. Tag des 1. Monats bis zum 23. Tag des 3. Monats ist 70 Tage, wenn man die prophetische Berechnung von Monaten anwendet.
Okay, and in the Millerite time, what was this day here?
Und zur Miller-Geschichte, was war diesen Tag?
First day of the 5th month.
Yes, 1st day of the 5th month, right?
Ersten Tag des 5. Monats.
So, and this would be
Und
the
das
Millerite
wäre
time?
zur Miller-Geschichte.
I mean, if you put it on the big fractal, it's here, but yeah.
Also auf der großen Fractal.
Yes, it's the 10th day of the 7th month, right?
Also
It's
der 10.
Oktober
Tag
22nd.
des 7. Monats, also 22. Oktober.
Okay.
Aber natürlich auf der großen Fraktal wird das am Ende sein.
And how many days prophetically are from the 1st day, the 5th month, down to the 10th day of the 7th month?
70. Und wie viele Tage,
70
prophetische
days.
Tage, gibt es vom ersten Tag des 5. Monats bis zum 10. Tag des 7. Monats? Es ist wieder 70.
So, therefore, this is also the 9th hour.
So dementsprechend ist das hier auch der 9. Stunde, wie auch die beiden.
Because here the death decree goes forward,
Denn hier geht das Todesdekret vor
and 70 prophetic days later, the death decree gets reversed.
und 70 prophetische Tage weiter wird dieses Todesdekret umgekehrt.
Here the death decree at the midnight cry, and here the counter decree.
Hier Todesdekret am Mitternachtsruf und hier das Gegendekret.
Okay, I understand what you're doing, but maybe it's confusing for other people. But I'm not sure, maybe explain, why have you put it on that line above? Because we normally just regularly divide and take it by the principles and symbols there and place it there. Is it because of the days you're counting?
Can you repeat your question?
Why are you putting it on this line above? Why are we laying this out?
No, just want to.
Normally we would just bring all these three
Yes.
things here.
No, I just want to show you, the sequence of events.
Also ich möchte nur der Reihenfolge der Ereignisse auszeichnen und zeigen, wie sie da
Okay,
aussehen.
the one point that I think what the confusing point when you put the 14th, the 15th and the 16th, I don't think we should do that. I don't think there's any relevance in those days there, because if there was relevance in the days, it would be 14th, 15th, 16th, not 13th, 14th, 15th. You know what I'm saying? Because that's confusing.
Yeah, the Bible marks it. Okay.
No, the Bible mark. Okay, if you want to put the days there, but you get to the 16th, but then the next day is also the 16th, then the next day, the 23rd is also the 16th, so that doesn't make sense.
No, yeah, it's all the 9th hour, right? So
Alles der 9. Stunde.
in this sense, it just shows that how you can use all these and
Okay,
squeeze it into one and put it here.
I don't have no problem with that. I'm just on about the literal days. I think it marks the 13th, and it's marking the 13th for a reason, right?
Yes.
So, but as soon as you put 14, 15, 16, start counting those days and talking about them as if they have some relevance, that's what makes confusion, right? You should just stick with the 13th day, right, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. There, and I get why you've done from the 13th to 23rd, because you've got the 7th day, and I would say amen. But those 3 days have to parallel the 14th, 15th, 16th, right? And also the 13th is a specific number, and that's why you've got 13th at the beginning, 13th at the end. It's marking this number 13, and the number 13 in the Bible marks a rebellion. So that's what I think you have to focus on, not these.
Maybe you're right, but maybe God also wants to show us something in the sense that you can also place the Feast of Unleavened Bread here. Okay. So therefore, I want to lay this out. Okay, how the Bible lays it out, and then let basically the Lord teach us what He wants to show us. Okay, so that was my idea behind it. So therefore, the Bible marks it was the 15th day where this happened. So cannot deny it. Okay. All right. So, but everybody can follow.
Kann jeder folgen?
Yes. Okay. Okay, so, and here you have now the rest, bringing you down to the 13th day of the 12th month.
Und hier hat man die Ruhe und das bringt zum 13. Tag des 12. Monats hinunter.
The rest, not the Ruhe, the rest.
Ach so, okay, sorry. Hier hat man den Rest des Zeites, also nicht die Ruhe.
Okay.
Das bringt man zum 13. Tag des 12. Monats.
And let us now read what happens there.
Und lasst uns lesen, was da geschieht. Das Überrest.
Okay. Well, actually, before we do that, let's go to chapter 8 still, and let's read verse 15 to 17.
Aber noch bevor wir das tun, lasst uns in Kapitel 8 die Verse 15 bis 17 lesen.
Because this is now here the 23rd, still the 23rd day of the third month.
Denn das hier ist immer noch der 23. Tag des 3.
What
Monats,
we will read now in these verses.
was wir in diesen Versen jetzt lesen werden.
It says, and Mordecai went out from the presence of the king in royal apparel of blue and white, and with a great crown of gold, and with a garment of fine linen and purple, and the city of Shushan rejoiced and was glad. So what does it tell us here?
Vers 15, was sagt uns das? Rejoicing. Das ist Solomon.
Yes, rejoicing, but how's Mordecai clothed here?
Also ja, es ist frohlocken, aber wie ist Mordecai angekleidet? King's Royal Apparel.
Yes. Royal apparel, fine linen, and he has a crown on his head.
Also königliche Gewand und hat eine Krone auf dem
So
Kopf.
what does it represent?
Was stellt das dar?
Yes, church triumph.
Die
Okay.
triumphale Gemeinde.
So here, therefore, you have the church triumph.
Also hier haben wir die triumphale Gemeinde denn markiert.
And we understand this is fulfilled for the first group here at the 9th hour. Right?
Und wir verstehen, dass für die erste Gruppe auf unserer Linie wird das am 9. Stunde erfüllt.
And then it continues in the next verses.
Dann in Verse 16 und 17 geht es weiter.
The Jews had light and gladness and joy and honor. We understand when we cross the chasm, that's this great joy. Okay?
Vers 16. Wir verstehen, wenn man den Kluft überquert hat, dass es diese große Freude und Verlockung.
Because then a child is born.
Weil da ist ein Kind geboren.
Okay?
Amen.
And then verse 17.
Vers 17.
And in every province and in every city, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, the Jews had joy and gladness, a feast and a good day. And many of the people of the land became Jews, for the fear of the Jews fell upon them. Okay, so what happens here?
Was geschieht hier? Fear in the nations.
Yeah, so
Deuteronomy 2:25.
exactly.
Also im 5. Buch Mose 2, 25.
Two witnesses ascend up and
Yes.
everybody.
Exactly.
Die 2 Zeugen werden aufgerichtet und im Himmel hochgebracht und die Furcht der Nation kommt auf sie.
And what happens here with many of the people of the land?
Und was geschieht mit vielen von den Menschen des Landes?
They became Jews.
They became Jews, okay?
Es sind Juden geworden.
Gentiles.
Yes, it's the Gentiles, okay?
Das Erstlingsfrüchte den Heiden.
So- Yes. So in this sense, okay. Yes, yes, you're right. And in a sense, we are the first fruits here, but we also present first fruits.
Also
Right?
wir sind die Erstlingsgaben hier, aber wir bringen auch Erstlingsgaben mit.
So here now Gentiles get converted. Okay.
Hier die ersten Heiden werden bekehrt.
Gentiles become Jews.
Die Heiden werden Juden.
Okay, that's here on this day.
Das
Okay.
ist hier auf diesen Tag.
Okay. Now let's jump to this day.
Jetzt zu diesem letzten Tag, dem 13. Tag des
Yeah,
12.
where now
Monats.
this death decree is to be put or be executed.
Wo diese Todesdekret ausgeführt werden sollte.
Okay, chapter 9,
Kapitel 9,
and let's read verse 1.
Vers 1.
Marius, you want to read this one, please?
It says, now in the 12th month, that is the month Adar, on the 13th day of the same, when the king's commandment and his decree drew near to put in execution, in the day that the enemies of the Jews hoped to have power over them, thou it was turned to the contrary, that the Jews had ruled over them that hated them.
Yes, okay. So it's now on the 12th month, on the 13th day, right?
So, am 12. Monat des 13. Tages.
Okay. And then also in verse 2, it says, let's just read also let's read verse 2.
Wir lesen auch Vers 2.
And you want to read this also, please?
The Jews gathered themselves together in their cities throughout all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus, to lay hand on such as sought they heard, and no man could withstand them, for the fear of them fell upon all people.
Okay, so again we have the same, the fear of God comes upon the nations,
Also
right?
wieder dasselbe. Die Furcht Gottes kommt über die Nation.
So, fear of God upon nations. Okay, and let's just jump down to verse 4.
Jetzt Vers 4.
It says, for Mordecai was great in the king's house, and his fame went out throughout all the provinces, for this man Mordecai waxed greater and greater. Okay, so what went out?
Also, was ging hinaus?
The fame, right?
Also den Ruf von Mordecai.
Where's another story for this?
Wo ist eine weitere Geschichte da?
Yes, Joseph.
Die Geschichte von Josef.
And keep your finger here in Esther. Let's go quickly to Luke chapter 4.
Also haltet euren Platz hier in Esther und geht zu Lukas Kapitel 4.
After the marriage of King, the fame spread of him through all the land.
Yes.
Lukas Kapitel 4.
And let's read verse 13 and 14.
Die Verse 13 und 14.
And David, you want to take this one, please?
And when the devil had ended all the temptation, he departed from him for a season. And Jesus returned in the power of the Spirit into Galilee, and there went out the fame of him through all the region around about.
Yes, okay. So the fame of Jesus now went forward through all the regions.
So der Ruf von Jesus ging in die gesamten Gegend hinaus.
And where would this be, David?
Und wo wird das sein?
Because verse 13, what does it mark? What are the verses prior to this speaking about?
In Vers 13, was markiert das?
Yes, the 3 times temptation in the wilderness, right?
Also die 3 Versuchungen in der Wüste.
So in this we mark here at the midnight cry, right? 1, 2, 3.
Markieren wir hier am Mitternachtsruf die 3 Tage der Versuchung.
And then there's a little time.
Yes, and then Jesus, the devil departs from him for a little season,
Und dann der Teufel lässt ab für eine kleine Weile.
which is this little time of peace here.
Diese kleine Zeit des Friedens ist an der 9. Stunde.
It says here now the fame of Jesus went through all the region round about.
Und es sagt jetzt, dass der Ruf Jesus ging in der ganzen Gegend umher.
6th hour for the Gentiles.
Yes,
Das wäre dann der 6. Stunde für die
Well,
Teufel.
for the, I mean,
for the Samaritans also.
yeah, for Cornelius, because they
Yes.
begin to inquire.
Yeah.
Für Cornelius, also für die Samariter auch.
Okay, and so in this sense, yeah, this is also Mordecai now when the fame here went forth through all the nations. Okay?
Das wäre dann Mordecai hier, wenn sein Ruf geht zu den gesamten Nationen.
And now let's jump down. Or let's read verse 5.
Zurück in Esther,
The Jews smote all their enemies.
Vers 5.
Thus the Jews smote all their enemies with the stroke of the sword, and slaughter and destruction, and did what they would unto those that hated them. So now the
5
captivity.
men with the slaughter weapons.
Yes, amen.
Also
Yes,
das sind die 5 Männer mit den Schlachterwaffen.
yes, nice. Yeah. Okay, so and this is right here when they go forward.
Das
Because
ist auch
it's,
gerade hier in der 9. Stunde, wo sie
Okay,
vorangehen.
so
because it said the decree was where is this the decree when he says to slay
Warte, they both young and old.
young and old and all the rest of it? That's Ezekiel 9.
yes.
Also das ist Hesekiel 9, diese Dekret, sowohl alt und jung, Frau und Mann zu schlachten.
Okay, so here Jews might enemies.
Yes. So hier schlachten die Juden ihre Feinde.
And we understand this is also taking place all here at the 9th hour.
Und wir verstehen, dass das alles hier an der 9. Stunde stattfindet.
So also this illustrates the 9th hour.
So auch das hier stellt der 9. Stunde dar.
Okay, so let's also read verse 10.
So lasst uns auch Vers 10 lesen.
It says, the 10 sons of Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the enemy of the Jews, slew they, but on the spoil laid they not their hand. So, yeah, so here the 10 sons get slain.
So hier werden die 10 Söhne geschlachtet oder hingerichtet.
And when you now jump down to verse 13,
Und jetzt Vers 13.
then said Esther, if it please the king, let it be granted to the Jews which are in Shushan to do tomorrow, also according unto this day's decree, and let Haman's 10 sons be hanged upon the gallows. So they get slain, and then what happens also with them?
Also die werden geschlagen und dann, was geschieht mit ihnen danach?
Get hanged. They get hanged, right?
Also die werden erhängt. Double.
So, yes.
Killed twice.
Like Haman, they get hanged here.
Also wie Haman, sie werden hier auch erhängt.
And yes,
It's just tying them into the same point in time.
yes, exactly.
Also es bringt sie nur zur selben Zeitpunkt zusammen.
Because this is the 9th hour, and this is the 9th hour.
Denn das am Ende ist der 9. Stunde, aber das hier auch.
So it's both here where they all get hanged.
Also es ist beide hier, wo sie erhängt werden.
So Haman. And who is Haman?
So Haman, und wer ist Haman?
Read prophetically.
Yes.
Also
United
prophetisch.
States.
Yes.
Er ist in den
Okay.
USA.
And who are the 10
Und
kings?
wer sind die 10
10,
Söhne?
10 sons, sorry.
Die 10 Söhne sind die 10
10
Könige.
Okay.
Genau.
So both get hanged at the same time.
So beide werden zur selben Zeit erhängt.
Okay. And we're a little bit now over time, so I will just summarize the rest.
Und wir sind jetzt ein bisschen über die Zeit, also wir werden nur den Rest zusammenfassen.
I have a
Yes.
problem.
Also ich habe ein Problem, Bruder Mark.
Because Joseph and Daniel, you know, that they're standing before Nebuchadnezzar there and telling them what God is about to do.
Josef und Daniel, die stehen alle hier in der 9. Stunde und erzählen der König, was Gott bevorsteht zu tun.
Yes, that's true. So maybe then, I don't know, maybe Esther's story then doesn't illustrate this, but just speaks about the big fractal.
So, vielleicht die Geschichte von Esther spricht nicht über die 9. Stunde, sondern eher über das, also schon dasselbe, aber an der größeren Fraktal.
But on the other hand, I mean, where's Esther standing then before the king? Right? I mean,
Wo denn steht Esther vor der
she
König?
would be standing here, wouldn't she?
Yes, but
But yeah, maybe these other things
yes,
are then here at the end. Yes, that's definitely a valid point. Okay.
Also ist auf jeden Fall ein gültiges Argument.
yeah, and the 70 is a symbol of the captivity, the 1260, so it's to the end. But I think when you go through the Bible, these points are to be taken individually
Yes.
and placed based upon context.
Bruder Mark sagt auch, die 70 ist ein Symbol für die 1260. Was wäre denn diese gesamte Zeit hier?
I mean, I don't have a problem with that at the moment because we definitely can see all these points here, right?
Also ich habe kein Problem mit das gerade jetzt, weil auf jeden Fall können wir all diese Punkte sehen.
And we can clearly see that these points all are somehow united as one.
Und wir
Right?
können klar sehen, dass all diese Punkte zumindest alles auf einen Punkt gebracht werden können.
Therefore, whether it's now here or here,
Ob es nun mal alles hier ist oder alles hier ist,
Maybe there's something does happen there that prefigures what happens then at the end.
also vielleicht geschieht schon was hier, was vorausschattet das, was am Ende stattfindet.
yes. So, I mean, definitely, I think everybody could follow and see these things, right?
Also auf jeden Fall, glaube ich, jeder konnte mitfolgen und diese Sachen sehen.
Okay,
Okay.
so we just have to figure out whether there's actually already a judgment or punishment brought upon the United States and the 10 kings here.
Also wir mussten nur herausarbeiten, ob hier ein Gericht auf den USA und den 10 Königen hier markiert zu finden ist.
All these things point down to the night hour. If not, then these things point here to the final review.
Und wenn ja, dann all diese Dinge, die weisen auf der 9. Stunde und wenn nicht, dann auf jeden Fall weisen sie auf der finalen Untersuchung.
Alright, so yeah, could everybody follow along?
So konnte jeder mitfolgen.
Okay, good. So just to end with the last thoughts,
Also nur mit den letzten Gedanken abzuschließen.
you can read this now for yourself in your own time
Also
if
in
you want.
unserer eigenen Zeit, wir können das zu Ende lesen.
You can read now in chapter 9 that there was also for another day added,
Also man kann lesen im Kapitel 9, dass ein weiterer Tag hinzugefügt worden ist.
okay, at least for those who were in Shushan,
Also zumindest für diejenigen, die in Shushan befanden.
and then also on the 15th day there was a feast then also here for the people, for the Jews in the villages.
Also es gab auch ein Festgelage für die Juden, die sich auf dem Land, also in den Dörfern befanden.
And then there was a feast for those who were in Shushan here.
Und dann ein Fest für diejenigen am Ende hier, die in Shushan befanden.
I have no idea what this means, but
No,
It's
we've
definitely
never
not-
managed to figure it out.
Also ich habe keine Ahnung, was das bedeutet, aber lasst es wohl einfach gesagt sein.
yes. Okay. So, anyways, this study about the book of Esther was always a nice study.
Also dieses Studium über das Buch Esther, das war schon immer ein schönes Studium.
And may the Lord open this up more fully in the future.
Und möge der Herr das noch völliger für uns öffnen in der Zukunft.
Alright, so thoughts, questions?
Also Gedanken, Fragen,
Then let's close with our prayer.
dann lasst uns mit unserer Gebetsrunde abschließen.